Thomas Tuchel playing his poker face as it stands right
serious.
now.
Just as serious
very
as NATO.
serious. Group L. There we go, Nadem. Ghana, England, Croatia, and Panama.
Yes, I think I have a lot of Ghanaian brothers and sisters, friends, cousins, everything who have been sort of winding me up just a little bit since Nigeria didn't qualify. So maybe in this instance I'll be rooting for England particularly heavily in that game. But overall, I think the group itself, they will take that. I think there's going to be contrasting styles when they play Panama, when they play Ghana. And I think if England do perform to their best, yes, they will make it through the group stage. But it's going to be interesting because they're going to have to do it in different ways. But yeah, that's a great game for Ghana, by the way. Ghana versus England is not a fixture we see very often at all.
Oh, yeah.
I think for all the diaspora, especially the people living in England, like, that is a huge, huge game. And there are going to be so many eyes on that, not just in West Africa, but around the world as well.
Yeah, so that's how Group L shapes up. And now all of the groups have shaped up. And this is the picture that we're looking at. We know who the host nations will be facing. In terms of the host nations, it's been favourable.
It has. And if you're the United States, you avoided some bigger teams, some bigger names. Yeah, Turkey maybe in your group if they win their playoff. But honestly, coming into a draw, I don't think that you could have expected for much more of the United States. This is a very accessible group. It's a very gettable group.
Doable.
Very doable. On the other hand, it actually puts pressure on the United States to not only get out of the group, but actually situate and place themselves in a position in which maybe they are controlling their path in the World Cup, in the competition. You have that chance now in front of you, given the fact that this is a very accessible group.
Yeah.
And again, it depends on the game that you have and the chronology of the games that you have. Because if you play Australia, Paraguay, and maybe Turkey at the end, that might count for nothing. So it's the most difficult game, maybe the third one. It's not really a problem. But if they start with Turkey, let's say Turkey gets qualified, and they play the first game against Turkey and you lose, the pressure can be huge.
But I think as you look at that group, and absolutely get your point, and first games are normally a little bit cagey affairs. If you're from a US perspective, out of that three, Australia, Paraguay, and again, let's assume that Turkey go through. Who would you like, if you could handpick, who would you like to play first out of that three?
Man, not Turkey.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if you're the United States, you want to open with Australia.
Yeah.
Not that they're an easy team to play against, because I do think that they can pose some issues in the fact that they'll put numbers behind the ball, and it's going to force the United States to do something that they don't usually do naturally, which is be proactive with the ball and be the ones that have the responsibility to create chances and to score goals. But the United States are going to have to do that whether they want it or not. Being a host country, they're going to have to propose something different than just sit back. And it's something that Mauricio Pochettino has been selling, that no, we're going to go play, and we're going to have the ball, and we're going to go press higher up the field. Well, you're going to get the chance to do that if indeed you open up against Australia. Then that sets you up for success if indeed you win that game, and then you start sort of addressing what happens next. As it pertains to whether the last game is Turkey or not, I know we're sort of getting ahead of ourselves. Whoever that last qualifier is, we go back to that initial conversation that we just had, in which you're trying to speculate with that result. And what is it that you do with that last game? If you're a host country, and let's be ultra Mr. Positivo here, super positive and optimistic about the United States, and they won their first couple of games, and you can control what the path is, then you make that decision then. But that's a decision that you earn the right to make, given your two initial performances.
So we're getting go.
Sorry, I was to say, to that point, as much as we're talking about this from a US perspective, this group from a US perspective, all four of those countries are looking at this group and thinking, we could get out here.
Yeah.
All four of those teams, realistically, are thinking, we could get out of this group.
Look, I was going all USA all the way, baby. I was going land of the free, home of the brave, but a bunch of haters over here.
Okay, so
America, baby.
It's going to go. USA will open against Paraguay, then they'll face Australia, and then it will be the playoff winner.
That's very doable. And they have played those teams, and it's a point that I think both Hercules and Casey made. They have played both of these teams in preparation. So when we were saying around those games, hey, these are the sort of teams that they're going to play in the World Cup, they're actually the teams that they're going to play in the World Cup. So there is knowledge, there is understanding, there is scouting. You've actually had experience playing against this team. to Shaka's point, that means that these other teams have also played against the United States, and they have knowledge, and they have know-how, and they have experience. So it goes both ways. Regardless, it's a very, I think, as compared to what it could have been, a very good group for the United States.
Okay, let's get to what's looking like the group of death then. Group I, Norway, France, Senegal, and the winner of playoff 2. How feelings on that, Jules?
I mean, you say group of death. We should remind everybody that the best third are going to qualify. So whoever is that fourth team, if they get beaten by Senegal, Norway, and France, 3 points might be enough, to be fair, to still qualify. However, it's true that this is tough. Senegal and Norway. Senegal are maybe the most complete of African teams with Morocco in terms of the talent that they have, a bit of everywhere. I mentioned Sadio Mane earlier. There's a few players who play in the Premier League that we see a lot, us who live here in England, like Ismail Assar, obviously, Pape Matar Sarr, Iliman Ndiaye at Everton. So there's a lot of experience there. Papicho is a very experienced, I think, head coach for this team, certainly what they're doing. So let's see what they do at AFCON later this month and in January, what kind of momentum they get and they gain towards the World Cup. But it's a special game because, as we've said earlier, the ties between the two countries. And then Norway, I think there's one way to see it. It's Mbappé against Haaland, as we said earlier. It's going to be great. The physical challenge that Norway will present, this French team, will be very interesting to see how Deschamps deals with it. If he keeps the 4-2-3-1, if he goes with maybe a strengthened midfield with a third player there, it'd be very interesting. But obviously, this game is going to rely a lot on Mbappé and Haaland to win it for their team.
If France, the order is going to be Senegal, then the playoff team, and then Norway last.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, but if you lose against Senegal the first game, you're in danger. So that goes for every team. But yeah, avoiding the Norway in the first game, especially the first game, and even the second game is a good thing. I mean, in '98 we played South Africa, and after Saudi Arabia, and then we played Denmark. That when you have the 6 points, it's much easier, and you can think, and maybe play the substitutes, like Emi Jake did, and be ready for the last 16. So it's also tactically what you have to have in mind. But you have to win the first game. And against Senegal, the last time we did it, we lost 1-0. And I was there, and I remember that wasn't a very good souvenir, memory. Even if we were, 20 years after, even more, we are happy for Senegal because they are, again, like our brothers.
Yeah, that's good to hear. We're getting the order that we're seeing. And for Group H, Louis, Spain will first face Cabo Verde, then Saudi Arabia, and then Uruguay. How do you feel about that?
Good. I think it's a good start. It's very, very important to start with a good result to get confidence to even start with a straight right of mind and focus on what is coming next. And then the two first games, I think that they are quite doable to be won, and then rest some of the players against probably one of the toughest that they will be probably fighting to also qualify. Let's not forget that Spain has to play the Finalissima in March, so not talking about who are the players who are going to be involved in the World Cup because it's going to be difficult, so still a long way to go. But I think that this group is actually quite decent for Spain to be qualified and continue on the road of the World Cup.
No, don't get serious now, Luis. You were dancing a minute ago. Now you're getting serious. This is a tap-in, baby. This is my kind of range.
Now it's
right
for real.
here.
Now it's for real.
It's a tap-in.
Now it's for real, Ale.
Oh, good Lord.
There's a tap-in. All right, we've got some more orders. Let me bring one to you, Nadim, if I can, for England as it stands right now. First would be Croatia, then Ghana, and then Panama.
Ooh, okay, interesting. I think Panama will be in the third game if England do
You'll
have
be
issues
out
along
after
the
the
way.
second game.
Relatively happy with that. Jules.
Thanks, Jules.
Tranquil. Take it easy, Jules. But yeah, having Panama as that third game is a nice little buffer just in case the worst does happen. But I don't anticipate that being the case. So yeah, it's good that that's the order. But I think England handle business, start strong, continue strong, lift the trophy, get on the flight. It's coming home.
Oh my goodness. Okay, if, and the big if, Gab, but let's just humour it. If Italy are to make it, this would be the order for them. Canada, then Switzerland, then Qatar. Does it matter?
First of all, you're very lucky that I'm engaging with this because I am not as superstitious as most of my countrymen are. But yes, purely hypothetically, the qualifier from UEFA Playoff Path A I think that would probably be a fairly good way to get into it because you can draw the first game, then get all paranoid, and so you end up drawing the second game or even losing the second game because it is Switzerland who loves to screw over Italy whenever they can, and then you go and beat up on Qatar in the third game. Look, I think this dynamic with the third place teams, and I know it doesn't concern the bigger countries, probably, will be fascinating because just a win is just 50% more valuable than 2 draws. So hopefully that'll generate some attacking football from some of the smaller countries anyway.
Can we talk about the fact that it is Haaland against Kylian Mbappé, though? I think that's...
Don't, because Frank gets annoyed.
They're going to be on the other side of the field. They're going to shake hands at the beginning of the game, and then they're not going to see each other. No, I don't understand.
But you know it's going to be the headlines, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is. It has to be. I mean, those people are the most valuable players, and we all know that people, they come to the stadium because they want to see players like that, and it's going to be very interesting. And those players, they are machines in terms of scoring goals, so it's going to be very interesting. But I mean, talk to Konate, Saliba, Upamecano, and they're not going to agree with that. And the other side, I don't know who's going to play centre back for Norway. They want to shut down, Mbappé and or Haaland. So it's going to be very interesting to see the two forces, fighting against each other. And you have to respect Norway. Norway have shown during the qualification that it's a big team. But the World Cup final, it's another competition.
Here's our poll, a live poll for who is going to win the Golden Boot during the World Cup.
Oh, Kane is fighting hard,
Kane is fighting hard. However, Mbappé is leading proceedings at the moment. Haaland behind him, and 32% have gone for other. Who would you go for, Shaq?
I'm Kylian Mbappé. And in terms of the comparison between Kylian Mbappé and Erling Haaland, without question, the 2 best goal scorers on the planet, in my opinion. But I lean Kylian Mbappé because I expect France to go further in the tournament. And so as a result, he would have more goals, he would have more opportunities to score more goals. So Kylian Mbappé, for me, is where my vote goes.
You got to be weary, and here's a name from the past, you got to be weary of the Oleg Salenko story, 1994 World Cup, in which the guy scores, I believe it was 5 goals against Cameroon, ended up scoring 6 goals in the tournament, and he is the Golden Boot winner. So if indeed that is what could potentially happen in the early stages of this competition, that you may have one of these games and one of these teams that may take a beating, like Frank was talking about, like Shaka was talking about, somebody that loses 6-7-0, and one of those players from one of those teams scores 4 or 5 goals, and they don't win in their Golden Boot.
That's a very good point. Well done, Ali, because.
Well, thank you, Frank.
No,
Thank you.
No,
I'll be here all day.
No, for the first time in that show, and somebody makes a very good point. But it's true that you win 10-0 and you are, a good player, but not a big player, but you win 10-0 against Curacao and you score 6 goals and you become the Golden Boot. So, but I expecting somebody, Gab can talk about Toto Schillaci, where nobody expected him in the 90s, and ending up being the Golden Boot for that World Cup, I think.
You mean when Italy were good?
Well, not good enough to not win in our own soil. That's it.
It's okay. I only go there because Gab has gone there himself today. He's very annoyed with his national team.
Because her husband is Italian.
No, we won't go there. He's not even interested at all. Who's your Golden Boot winner, Luis?
Lamine Yamal.
Yes, I think he's got everything ability. No, I was thinking about it, Lamine Yamal, but I don't think that Lamine Yamal is one of those top scorers. He's more a threat. He's more a player who can create and assist more than he doesn't have that something that you need to have to be a top scorer. He can be, of course, because he's so much talented. But I think that right now, the way that we see every single weekend, Kylian Mbappé, if he continues with that confidence, I think he could be the main man.
Okay, we're getting some nice little stats here coming to us in terms of Group C. Brazil all-time against teams in Group C. That's what we're looking at from Alex and our research team. Brazil's unbeaten in 9 matches all-time versus CONCACAF teams in the FIFA World Cup.
Well, and I can tell you, again, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, that I was following Brazil with my dad and my brother in the World Cup in '98, and They played against Scotland in the opening game. They played against Morocco. And other than Norway, because Haiti is the fourth team, it would have been exactly the same group. And I look at this group for Brazil, and while you can make the argument that maybe Scotland could be a problem, maybe, they're looking at this and thinking, pretty good. Pretty good. I'm thinking about Haiti, and you have to imagine that they would do some damage there. I think they're significantly better than Scotland, and I think they'll be better than Morocco. If you're thinking about Brazil and you're thinking Carlo Ancelotti, it's a very good group.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the odds as well. So they've changed now since the draw has been made, and it's a bit more favourable for some of the teams.
England are favourites now?
Well, they're doing a little better, maybe, than they were. I think France as well, things have changed for them too. But yes, in terms of the odds, things will always change when it comes to the groups being drawn and how that path will look for them. I think we're going to get them to you. We will at some point. Here we go. This is what we're looking at. It's more a numbers game at this point as it stands, but that's what things look like at the moment. Who wants to say something there? Was that Gab?
Yeah, sorry. Hey, this is all right. First of all, I'm happy that Italy are 30-1 because just remind everybody, Italy haven't qualified. UEFA playoff class A has qualified, but Norway were 30-1. Then they get drawn into this horrible group with France and Senegal, which assumes going to be tough, and then their odds get even shorter. It gets even likelier. How does that work?
Well, make them.
It comes from the same people.
It comes from England, you know.
That's a question for Dom, Gab.
Percentages.
They sound more like Shaka's power rankings.
It's the algorithm. The algorithm, yes.
We missed the power rankings this week as well.
Why are you going back there?
No, it's just, maybe we should have double duty next week, Shaka. on the power
Let's
rankings.
keep it moving. Let's talk about Italy, not
We can get to that. We actually have someone from England joining us now just to boost things up a little bit.
Who's that?
It's Mark Ogden.
Oh,
Yes. Mark Ogden's ready. He's standing by. There he is.
so
look.
cheery, so
there for the big
happy,
event,
so
all dressed
excited.
up.
He's already
Yeah.
at the airport.
Mark, what's your reaction to England's Group L?
Well, it's not an exciting group, is it, in terms of box office, but it's a group that England should get through. Croatia again, 2018, Euro 2020. I think they played Panama in 2018 as well, 6 past Panama. Ghana, Mohamed Kudus, it's, Thomas Partey. They're not the strongest teams. I think England will be happy with that group. But again, it's not Scotland have got a great group in terms of excitement, but from England's perspective, it's a group they should win and progress through to the next round quite comfortably.
Oh, Mark, tell us what it was like to be there today. I'm sure you were lapping it up.
Oh, I loved every minute of it. It was fantastic. It was just kept looking at my watch. When's it going to finish? When's it going to start? It was an event that.
What was the standout? What was the standout moment?
It wasn't.
The end.
Well, it was just a case of like, when is it going to start? It was. I think when Lauren Hill came on, that was 20 minutes after the draw should have started. It was like, well, Lauren Hill's a little bit kind of after we should be started here. So what struck me was the fact that everything seems to be from the 1990s. I mean, you'll remember all this K. It was like Lauren Hill, Robbie Williams, Heidi Klum. I felt like I'd been transported back into 1995.
Yeah, you'd like that, wouldn't you, Frank? If we could transport back to the 90s.
Yeah, that would be great. I was famous.
I must say, I'm going to be fair
Any
to Mark.
questions for Mark?
No, I'm going to be fair to Mark. I don't, and this is more of a question to our producer, our coordinating producer. I know they're watching. If we're going to pump an event up, I don't think that we send Mark. Let's be honest. I don't think Mark is a personality to really liven things up.
He was really into the Lauren Hill song, struggling my pain.
It's not fair to you, Mark. I'm just saying, it's not fair to you.
He's an excellent journalist, of course we'll send
A
him.
journalist, yes, but not a cheerleader.
I could get excited about Scotland's group. Scotland's group's amazing. Brazil again for I think the 5th time in 8 tournaments. So I'd be excited if I was Scottish, but well, I wouldn't be excited because I was going to get knocked out in the group stage. But I think
Like I said.
Have you got any questions for Mark, guys? Anything you'd like to know?
No, go home.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. So the World Cup group draw reactions are in, and it was, total chaos online.
Complete noise.
Yeah. So our mission today was to wade through all of that and pull out the tactical insights and the big stories you really need to be thinking about.
And right away, you see these huge contrasts. On one hand, you have groups that look well, almost too easy, which creates its own kind of weird pressure.
Right.
And then on the other, you have just an absolutely terrifying group, a proper certified group of death.
Okay, so let's start with that pressure cooker idea, specifically with the United States. They drew Australia, Paraguay, and then a playoff winner. And the consensus seems to be that this is, an incredibly gettable group.
It looks very accessible, yeah. But that's the paradox, isn't it?
Exactly. The sources suggest this perceived ease actually ramps up the pressure. It's not just about getting out of the group anymore.
No, now they have to control it. They have to dominate. And what's fascinating is the tactical shift this forces. Well, the U.S. can't just rely on their usual counterattacking style. They're going to be forced to be proactive, to break teams down. It's like that philosophy you see from coaches like Mauricio Pochettino.
High pressing, structured possession.
Exactly. They have to create the chances, not just wait for them.
But there's a flip side to their preparation, right? I mean, they've played both Australia and Paraguay in friendlies recently.
It's a massive double-edged sword.
So they have the scouting info. But
so do their opponents. The element of tactical surprise is just, it's gone. It all comes down to execution on the day.
So if the U.S. is facing that kind of tactical pressure, what about another favorite, like England? Their Group L has Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. Also seems favorable.
Very. And the key nugget there is the game order. Croatia first.
Getting that huge technical test out of the way immediately.
Right. Then Ghana, and you finish with Panama, which is sort of a nice little buffer before the knockouts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But you cannot, and I mean cannot, dismiss the cultural weight of that Ghana versus England game. It is going to be enormous.
A huge cultural flashpoint.
Massive. For players with dual nationality, for the diaspora. I mean, a lot of Ghanaian players came up through the English system. That match is about so much more than just 3 points.
Okay, now let's pivot to the terrifying side of this. Group I.
The group of death.
Norway, France, Senegal, and a playoff winner. I mean, wow.
It's brutal. Though we should probably remind everyone that the best third-place teams can still qualify.
Right, so 3 points and a decent goal difference might be enough to scrape through.
It might, but Senegal is the immediate threat here. They are arguably the most complete African team right now.
You're not just talking about Sadio Mane.
No, not at all. You have guys like Papa Matassa, who is just lighting up the midfield in the Premier League. That group is going to test France's mentality right from the start.
And what about Norway?
Norway presents a huge physical challenge. They're going to try to disrupt France's rhythm, force them into these messy vertical battles instead of letting them pass the ball around.
And of course, this group gives us the headline narrative of the entire tournament.
It really does.
Mbappé versus Haaland. They won't actually be on the pitch against each other, but that's all anyone's going to be talking about.
They're just absolute scoring machines. And if you look at the early Golden Boot polls, Mbappé is leading, but Haaland is right on his heels.
Which is interesting because the usual logic is that the award goes to a player on a team that goes deep in the tournament.
Exactly. So if everyone expects France to go further, why is Haaland so close? Does that mean people think Norway is going to make a surprise run?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
Or maybe they're just betting on his, sheer scoring power.
I still lean Mbappé just because he'll have more games, more opportunities, but you have to be wary of the ultimate wild card.
The Ole Senko story.
The Ole Senko effect from the 1994 World Cup.
Yeah. Remind us of that one. It's incredible.
So his team didn't even get that far. But he won the Golden Boot with 6 goals total, and 5 of them came in one single game against Cameroon.
5 goals in one match.
Yeah. And the takeaway is that one massive blowout game in the group stage could completely change the race. An unexpected player could just run away with it.
So to wrap it up, we have this strategic pressure on favorites like the U.S., a terrifying group of death pairing the world's biggest stars, and a Golden Boot race that could be decided in the first week.
Right. And, while all this tactical analysis feels so modern and cutting edge, the sources kept mentioning how the draw ceremony itself felt like a throwback.
Yeah, like it was transported from the 90s or something.
Totally. They were talking about appearances from Robbie Williams and Lauryn Hill, so it leaves you with this kind of provocative thought to chew on.
Okay.
In a sport that is constantly evolving, optimizing performance and tech and everything else, what elements of the World Cup preparation and the spectacle itself still feel kind of stuck in the past?